On the evening of August 6th, the atmosphere over Wisconsin was changing in ways we did not expect. Storm clusters began to organize and accelerate over central Wisconsin as the jet stream pushed strongly above. The atmosphere began to bend, twist, and ripple in ways it never had before. If you were watching behind a computer screen, it was business as usual for northeast Wisconsin. Several thunderstorm warnings were posted ahead of the storms for damaging winds and large hail, likely to expire once the storms weakened across the area. There was no indication of anything unusual. That was until this appeared. I saw it as I prepared to leave, but thought nothing of it. We drove north, taking note of the impressive lightning. We could only get so far before the storm rolled through. On the way back home, I heard an update that parts of Kimberly were impassable. It was at this moment that it finally hit me. A storm report released by the National Weather Service 2 days later would reveal the following. At 12:23 a.m. on August 7th, number 1508 touched down as an EF1 tornado. 1 minute later, an EF2 tornado touches down near New London, destroying a church. Both tornadoes continued until 12:30 a.m., when the first tornado ended and the second continued on for 3 more minutes. By 12:40 a.m., it's possible that 3 tornadoes were on the ground at once over the Fox Valley, moving east at 70 miles per hour. This time the tornado sirens in Appleton were not activated. The first tornado warning came out shortly after 1 a.m., after most of the damage had been done. At 1:05 a.m., a 6th tornado would destroy a silo and 2 barns near Pilsen.
Moving east at 100 miles an hour.
In a matter of minutes, this ordinary thunderstorm event exploded into the largest tornado outbreak in 2 years. It caused an estimated $36 million in damage. This storm had been on a completely different level. Even more impressive is that it had come and gone before we even knew what hit us.
Really a remarkable setup. We had clusters of thunderstorms over northwest Wisconsin between 10 and 11 o'clock last night that looked pretty innocuous, but as they developed into a line, as they moved into central portions of Wisconsin, they accelerated towards the east. From the radar last night, we were seeing commonly winds estimated at more than 100 miles per hour. Here's a look at the radar estimated wind velocity, and that's only a few thousand feet off the ground.
This is an effort that's going to take some time due to the spread out nature, if you will, the widespread nature, but most importantly, due to the extensive damage to our network and to the transmission system that feeds our distribution network.
But we got down into the basement, got our little daughter down there, and then when we came out, we saw this. That's our indoor, and this is our livelihood.
I thought the whole house was coming in. I really thought, I was praying, thinking the house was coming in. And the house, the good Lord saved the house, but took down the man cave.
We have a lot of trees that are uplifted. The grill was blowing, the patio furniture is missing, pool covers shredded.
I was just kind of awestruck as far as all the damage. Most of the trees stuff is laying in the yard and up against the building and up against the house across the street.
We have extensive damage, in particular to the church here, with winds that I'm estimating that probably reached near or exceeded 100 miles an hour.
I thought the train was in our backyard. It was so loud. It lasted maybe 5 minutes, but it did so much damage. It was just not the same normal storm. It was just, we knew it was different, just really different. A lot of winds.
It's so widespread down here in the south end that it's just amazing. And I was at Apple Creek Campground earlier this morning, and how nobody was injured there is remarkable.
The window, see all the trees down? Oh, this whole street, Heather. Just take a picture. I am. Oh, my video. Goodness. Oh.
What's happening, Mommy?
Do you see all the trees front of their house just ripped up?
Is my problem?
Oh my gosh, how did that house survive with all those big trees? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh, look at that house. Oh, Heather, I have never. Oh my goodness.
What's happening, Mommy?
Do you see the trees down, honey? Look out the windows. A big wind came. A wind came like a tornado and took all these trees down.
We now know tornadoes are responsible for devastation from New London to Maribel.
It has been the practice and policy in the past of Outagamie County that if in fact the National Weather Service issues a tornado warning, the sirens would be sounded.
But if you remember, Outagamie County sounded its sirens during a storm just last month without any warnings from the National Weather Service.
The indications were just not there that there was going to be a tornado.
These storms are moving at 60 to 70 miles an hour, perhaps even a bit faster than that at times.
The National Weather Service says Wednesday's storms were unusual, making it difficult to issue warnings.
The severe thunderstorm warnings were issued ahead of the storm. We saw that coming. The speed at which the tornadoes formed was quite unusual as they were moving up to 70 miles an hour.
We had some injuries, but they don't appear to be certainly not life-threatening and extremely serious. For that, we thank God to begin with, because as frustrating as it can be to have to look at destruction like this and think about rebuilding it, you can't rebuild the structure.
That's right.
You can't bring back a life, at least on this earth. And so we're thankful for that. Stood right there, that the cross on the window's intact. You could turn and look and see the cross right there intact, and around the corner of the cross was intact there. So right. I think that was probably a good sign, not only for your members, but for the community, that even out of disaster, there's still hope.
I was refreshed and focused on the first chase back since August 7th. I traveled eastward with a storm from Merrill, Wisconsin. Located a couple miles off of Highway 29, I watched a portion of the storm accelerate eastward straight at me, reminiscent of August 7th. A bowl-shaped lowering descended from the storm, then disappeared back up a short time later. I waited until the very last minute to make my escape.
Have a go, baby.
By the time I made it back to the highway, I was already locked in. The storm began to rotate on top of me, blinding me in rain and hurricane-force winds. Then the tornado warning came out. Tornado warning on in this circulation. I'm on the outside of it. I'm not going to get into it anymore. I'm done chasing. I want to drop south. I just can't get south. There's no southern route.
Especially around Cleveland and Toronto than it was even just about 15 minutes ago. This storm still has a tornado warning with it. We're still easily seeing 60 to 70 mile an hour winds on the radar, and it continues to move towards the east.
This was likely my last full chase of the season. That never crossed my mind as I chased two rather unimpressive cells that afternoon. Despite a poor appearance on radar, the second cell appeared to be rotating, so I stuck with it. Once it reached the eastern shore of Lake Winnebago, it intensified into a severe thunderstorm. The 2013 season was over. In spite of the slow start, Wisconsin experienced a total of 15 tornadoes through October 1st. This was nearly 4 times more than the record low experienced the season before. For the second year in a row, the numbers say we finished far below average. Yet, loss and destruction still occurred statewide. Between the tornadoes, hail, damaging winds, floods, and heat waves, everyone was affected. We find that the explosive collision of hot and cold unleashes a force that descends from the sky but belongs to the darkness that accompanies it. The revelation sends families running for the basement, takes our loved ones, and scars the landscape forever. The monster destroys things we can never replace, and does things we can never explain. How will you remember number 1508? As a number? Another statistic? The damage caused or the days without power? Because after the clouds have passed and damage is cleared, some storms never end. The winds still tear through the thoughts and memories of those who lived through it. We chase storms not just to better understand them, but because we are passionate about helping others. Our reports are used to warn family, neighbors, and community of the impending chaos. Because we too have been to the other side and back, to that dark, lonely place where the only hope are the ones above. We return stronger to battle these rogue storms that belong to this earth but come from somewhere else. And we will never stop chasing.
Weatherman Elmer Childress. 25 years later, the tornado is still hard to figure out, he says, seemingly appearing out of nowhere.
Even though I had spent years and years in Kansas in Tornado Alley, I'd never really seen anything like that.
Not the same normal storm. It was just, we knew it was different, just really different.